Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show in which I never pre-plan these openings. And I come to you live from my Corona bunker on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday, theatrical Thursday. Hope you're all doing well. Yes, we're back once again into the wonderful world of off-brand TED Talks for the wit and wisdom of a white woman. Do you like alliteration? I gave you a bit there, but we'll get into that in a moment. First, who's joining me on this beautiful Thursday evening as we delve into the mysteries of strange presentations on the internet, of which I totally include myself. Plague Dr. Zach, hello. Kiefer Dam, hello. Jaeger Pony, hello. Mike R, hello. Who else is here? Advocatus Diaboli, hello. Noah Asensio, hello. Derek LaRue, hello. And then who else is here? The chat jumps because, of course, it did. Jamie Milquist, hello. And your boy, Pat, hello. Hey, Pat, how's it going? Tyrannus Alexandrius Tremirlich, hello. Somnambular Nation, hello. Shadowclaw, hello. Zeke Weiss, hello. Chicago Mike, hello. Jonathan Peterson, hello. Resolute Germ, hello. Shell D, hello. And then chat jumped again because chat's just jumping tonight. What can I tell you? Jack Frost, hello. Shiva's Girl, hello. Attack Alpaca, hello. Simon Willikins, hello. Bearded Devil 1864, hello. 1864, it was a very good year. And thank you, Derek LaRue, so much once again for your amazing generosity. Thank you so much, Derek. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a good evening. Hope you enjoy the show. Roger Reynolds, hello. And I think that's everyone. If I missed you, if you're lurking, if you're in the future, hello, and I hope you're doing well. So tonight's presentation is called Questioning My White Woman Worldview. I can't wait to find out what constitutes a white woman worldview, what I can know about a person if I look at them and know that they are a white woman, or suspect at least, and have an idea of what that's supposed to mean. I'm sure it'll be very informative. A couple of programming notes. The tentative plans to have another edition of Living on Borrowed Crime are still in the works. I'm attempting to line up my featured guests when the time comes, but so hold on for that. Also, on a TEDx note, I am going to try something different in the next couple of months. So as you may or may not know, most TED and TEDx events are based around a theme or a concept or a phrase. The event will have something like the future in digital or something. And then each talk will in some way, shape, or form relate back to that theme, that phrase, that idea. Well, I thought, why not do it here? So for February and March, each of those months, I'll be having an overarching theme or key word that will relate back to each of the talks. So for February, I thought I'd start off with some low-hanging fruit. And the theme will be superpowers. Because I tell you what, if you go to the TED Talks YouTube channel or the TEDx Talks YouTube channel and you do a search on the word is a superpower, not the word, but the phrase is a superpower or just superpowers, you will find an unending list of options of blank is my superpower. So that's what I'm going to do for February. And I'm going to try to be very random about it. I'm just going to search for that and then see what pops up and just see what different superpowers I can find amongst the TED and TEDx talkers. And then for March, since superpowers generally relate to superheroes, for March, I thought I'd go along in a similar theme and go for justice. Different TEDx talks that relate back to the concept of justice in some way, shape, or form. And so maybe in that way, by sticking to a particular theme, we might find some good TEDx talks or TED Talks. Who knows? It's not impossible. I won't necessarily look for things that are just weird looking, but you never know. I might do that too. So that's the plan for the upcoming months. Hope you'll join me for that when the time comes. If it goes well, maybe I'll make it a regular thing, or maybe I'll start polls or something to select the next month's theme. We'll see. Speaking of polls, if you'd like to join in on the poll that selects the bingo card for each episode. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, right there at the bottom of the screen, at scribe_light. And the winner of today's poll for the bingo card was B. B as in Pinot Gris, because I asked what kind of white wine should be tonight's white wine, and Pinot Gris was the winner in the B slot. So there you go. A couple more hellos, and then we'll get right into it. Jeanette E. Hellis, hello. And who else did I see? I thought I saw the Redneck Ram, hello. Shady Grin, hello. And if I missed you, if you're lurking, if you're in the future, hello. All right, so let's get right into the excitement. This is Questioning My White Woman Worldview. It clocks in at just over 11 minutes, and I've cleaned up the audio, so it should be just fine. You guys tell me if you can hear it after a couple of seconds. Remember, bingo card B, links are in the description. And here we go.
It's a sweltering August afternoon in 2014, and I am very much pregnant with my first son. I'm sitting in my apartment in Los Angeles, California, watching streets across the U.S. burn in a righteous rage after 18-year-old Michael Brown was murdered by the police in Ferguson, Missouri.
I think murdered might be overstating it. I think killed in self-defense might be a better way of putting it, if you were being honest, which you're already not being honest. So that might go on the bingo card. So let's look at the bingo card for a second, shall we? Just to remind ourselves what we're looking for tonight. Anecdote that probably never happened. I'm going to hold it and wait and see how much further she goes into the Michael Brown thing. Or that might be leaves out vital context, depending. We'll find out. So anecdote that probably never happened. Self-vilification or wretchedness. I would be amazed if we don't circle that one, because given the title of the presentation, it already seems like she's vilifying herself in some way, shape, or form. Systemic or institutional. Weightless example. Word salad, leaves out vital context. Again, a contender here. Collectivizes own demographic. Again, I think that's probably going to be naturally so, given the title. White supremacy. Boy, oh boy, I don't know. We might have a good night tonight on bingos. A list. Privilege. Man, this talk might just be made for this bingo card. Sales pitch for product or service. Plays victim, we'll see. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. Wage gap. Patriarchy. Feminism. Mind reading or assumes motives. Diversity, equity, and or inclusion. Marginalized or marginalization. Argumentative non sequitur. Childhood or family anecdote. Contradicts own point or argument. Benevolent condescension. That might be a gimme as well. And microaggressions or unconscious bias. So those are what we're looking for and keeping our ears open for. So Michael Brown, you say, tell me more.
My hands rest on my belly. It's that time of day where growing baby moves and flails the most. Today, his movements feel exaggerated, like they're matching my heartbeat as I anxiously watch the clicker tick across the news screen on my TV. Maybe it was pending motherhood or the gravity of bringing an innocent soul into an unjust world, but something about this particular act of state-sanctioned violence put the first conscious crack in my well-meaning white woman worldview.
State-sponsored violence. State-sponsored violence. Sorry, okay. All right, well, let's see. You know what? I'm going to do both. I'm going to circle both. Anecdote that probably never happened, particularly Michael Brown was murdered in state-sponsored violence. And secondly, leaves out vital context in the fact that Michael Brown attacked the police officer and tried to take his gun. So circling both of those on the board. And also collectivizes own demographic, white woman worldview. I think it was inevitable, but there you go. And I'll wait a minute. I'll wait a minute for some more. And also circle free space just reflexively because I'm that kind of guy. So far on the board, we have anecdote that probably never happened, leaves out vital context, collectivizes own demographic, and free space. And we're only 1 minute into the presentation. Oh, boy.
You know the one. A worldview that doesn't see color, that believes in the bootstraps version of the American dream.
Oh, yeah, doesn't see color. You know, those people that don't assess people on the basis of their skin color. Oh, the bootstraps version of the American dream. You know, personal merit and hard work and initiative. You know, those terrible, terrible people. Those awful, awful, just, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And with love and light, effortlessly reduces systemic racism to a set of particular circumstances that most certainly could have been resolved had we all been following the rules and getting along.
I'm going to need some specifics on what you mean on that one. But anyway, thank you, Mike R. Can we make a new square for says something really stupid? That is a bit too abstract. It's a bit too abstract. I mean, you know, I don't have it on me. I think I probably got rid of it at some point. But if I had the first version of the TEDx bingo card, I should really go back to the beginning of all this and find the first TEDx version of the TEDx bingo card just for comparison and contrasting. But we have similar things. I mean, most of the things on the card do refer back to things that are usually patently, if not stupid, then, you know, arguable. All right. Well, anyway, yes. So, systemic racism is everywhere at all times and everything. Color blindness means you're being like literal about it. And bootstraps, as in taking the initiative, having personal merit, doing the work, etc., being independent, obviously bad things. Okay. Well, tell us what the good things are.
Now, I don't share this story with you today because I'm looking for nice white lady points.
No, I don't come up here with a presentation called Questioning My White Woman Worldview, looking for people to think better of me than the obvious, stereotypical, terrible white woman that I just described. No. I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
In fact, if I'm being honest...
Wait. If you're being honest? I always love when people predicate a statement with something like that. Now, I can't stand on a pedestal as a saint and say I've never used something like that, but especially when they're making a declaration about something in a public forum or about their own character or something. If I'm being honest, okay, let's back up.
I'm looking for nice white lady points. In fact, if I'm being honest, one of my biggest fears is being perceived as someone who's standing here simply to look good.
I'll reserve comment.
I share it with you today because it marks a beginning for me.
Oh.
When I stopped seeing myself as an individual who was powerless in the face of the status quo and started to see myself as one part of the larger whole that together holds so much power to create change.
Oh, you're not an individual. You're part of the collective. One of us. One of us. Let's see. Oh, I have to circle systemic institutional because you said systemic racism. That's correct. If anybody in the chat was yelling at me over that, I apologize, but I got it now, so there you go. Okay. Keep going.
Devoted activist Grace Lee Boggs once said, "We cannot change a society unless we are responsible for it, unless we see ourselves as belonging to it and responsible for changing it."
Well, it should be easy for you to see yourself belonging to it since the demographic of this country is so overwhelmingly white, right? So that's easy. I mean, seeing yourself, seeing representation is a big thing these days, so you have really no barrier of entry there, do you?
The status quo maintains power when you and I see ourselves simply as individuals who live in a society that has problems that are too big to fix.
No. I can see myself as an individual and also hold specific beliefs or motivations that may align me with others, but that doesn't make me a brainless drone. And also, I also have at least the cognizance that just because I believe in one thing over here and someone else shares that belief, that doesn't necessarily mean that that makes us even keel on everything. What?
So why even bother?
Okay. Apathy is different than independence. okay, cynicism does not necessarily adhere itself to independence. It can, but it's also not a blocker to you taking action or doing your part or making yourself known or heard. What?
However, if we see ourselves, as Grace Lee Boggs suggests, as belonging to and responsible for that society, then we can see how our actions or lack thereof impact the world around us.
I tend to believe that if you are the change you want to see, if you act as an example of the kinds of things you want to see in other people, that's probably one of the best things you can do. If you want to become an activist in some way and try to change laws and so on and so forth, if that's applicable, then by all means. But insofar as being a part of a society, I do my best to live in and reflect the values and principles that I hope for and honestly, in some instances, expect of others around me in a civilized society. That doesn't reduce my independence. That doesn't reduce my individuality. I may share similar principles and values with other people, but I'm still me. I still have my own name, my own likes, dislikes, and combination thereof. I suppose if you want to collectivize everybody on a collective, what?
I invite you today to consider the idea that when you are engaged in a diverse community, you are more likely to take action in service of that community.
Okay, well, circling diversity, equity, and inclusion, because there we go. Okay, so only when I'm part of a quote-unquote diverse community would I take action. So if I'm surrounded by people who look like me, I'm more likely to just, be stagnant and static? Interesting way of putting it. Okay. How would you like to make this happen? Or what are you recommending I do?
In the months that followed that hot August afternoon, the rhetoric online implored white women to put ourselves in the shoes of women and mothers of Black and brown children.
And so you're going to assume the lived experience of someone that's of a different race than you? Oh, okay. So I have to then also monolith an entirely different demographic as well as the first. Okay.
To imagine what it must be like to live in fear daily that your child could die at the hands of a world that sees them as a threat for simply existing.
Lady, that has nothing to do with the Michael Brown case. Okay, your entire argument is fruit of the poison tree at this stage of the game. Okay, you're ignoring the facts of the case. You're either living in a delusional version of reality or you are actively ignoring reality. So for you to classify everything about this presentation as being fueled by this grand injustice, you picked the wrong case. There are cases out there where you'd have a much better standing to make this argument if you're going to use it at all. But this isn't the one. You chose poorly.
These pleas were made in an attempt to pull on the heartstrings of our humanity.
Yes, because white women obviously by nature have none. As you know, white women do not possess humanity. They can't possibly empathize with someone else. Even if Michael Brown's life was taken justifiably under the law, you can still empathize with his family for their loss. Right? But no, obviously white women couldn't do that.
In hopes that we would finally rise up and stand next to communities of color and fight these injustices.
It wasn't an injustice. He attacked the police officer and tried to take his gun.
But they were met with overwhelming emotions and a whole lot of tears that come from simply imagining injustice. But they weren't backed by the action that comes from the effects of feeling the injustice.
How could you possibly make that happen? if I, regardless of the news story, okay, if I'm on one side of the country and I see a story of an absolute tragedy on the other side of the country, if I have no direct connection to those events, if I have no familial connection to those events. Here's an example. When the Sandy Hook shooting happened, okay, I remember this clear as day. When the Sandy Hook shooting happened, I was at home. I had just gotten home from work, I think it was, the first that I'd heard of it. And I turned on the radio because I have a radio. I'm old-fashioned. What do you want me to say? And the report came over the news. And when they started listing off not only the number of victims, but the age of the victims, I screamed. I mean, it wasn't even like a word. It was just this sort of, visceral, instinctual wail, because the idea, the concept of it just crashed down on me, right? And I was in shock. For a couple of minutes there, I was just standing agape in the room, listening to the radio, sort of, but this idea, this notion was just filling my head. And it was shocking. But here's the thing. I can't possibly ever know or experience the kind of trauma or injustice that the families of those kids experienced. There's just no way. There's no way for me to relate in that way, to empathize with something that's happened to me. I can still be shocked by things. I can still put my whatever weight I have behind a cause or something that I believe in because I feel like something's not going right or someone's been unjustly treated or something else. But what are you asking for exactly? What do you want people to assume in themselves? What didn't you see that you want to see? What did you do?
I know this because I'm a white woman with a lot of emotions.
Oh, unlike any other white women in the world who don't have emotion. Okay. If not for that one in particular, then just sort of generalize.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Right?
Boy, white women are just like alien creatures from another dimension or something compared to this lady.
And an endless number of tears. And I hadn't yet found myself to a place of action because I didn't see myself as belonging to the collective that needs liberation.
Wait a second. Okay. Guy assaults police officer, tries to take his gun. Police officer defends himself, shoots guy. Sorry, that's my phone going off. Guy dies. The media, the politicians, everybody and their brother frame that event in the exact 180-degree opposite way of how the events went down, started a mantra that described events that did not happen as the rallying cry for a series of riots and arsons and deaths and destruction that we hadn't seen in, I don't know, was the Michael Brown one the first one that really started off that trend every year? We'd had to have a giant riot across the country. And now you want to, associate yourself as a collective for you have no idea what you're talking about. You have based this entire heroic crusade on a lie that you're telling yourself to make yourself feel and or look much better than you actually are, even though you're not here to gain any good white women points.
Until the November afternoon, 3 months later, when a grand jury declined to indict the officer that murdered Michael Brown.
Why? Why did they decline? On what basis? Did you read the report? Huh?
I sat in the same apartment, watching once again the streets of the U.S. ignite in a righteous rage.
Righteous? Righteous based on what? How do you quantify righteous put up against the evidence in the case, the testimony of the very witnesses in the case? Righteous. Okay.
This time, I held my 1-month-old son in my arms as he fussed.
Uh-huh.
I didn't need to imagine the fear of losing him in that moment, because I was faced with the stark reality that I had given birth to a son who could grow up and take a life in a society that would not hold him accountable for it.
What? Okay.
What? What is that? What the fuck is that?
I didn't know what to expect when I got this, when I chose this one. I don't watch them ahead of time. I didn't even look at the comments. I just needed the title to know it's going to be quite a ride. But boy, I didn't think we'd arrive at that. You looked at your 1-month-old son as a potential remorseless killer. Okay.
It's with that realization that my worldview went from cracked to shattered.
It went from cracked to mad. Magazine. What, me worry?
For those of us who were not blessed to be born into, or who have not already connected deeply into non-white dominant communities.
Blessed to be born into non-white dominant community. Okay, so your skin color is a what? A divine curse or something? What?
We have a lot of work to do.
Oh, we do.
Everyone finds their way to that path in a different way.
Oh, okay.
The important part is that we stay connected to that pathway.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There are 2 words that I use that keep me connected to my path.
Two's a list. I can circle a list. I'll take 2. It takes 2, baby.
The first is question.
Whoa. That was a weird cut. Did you guys see that? Okay, I did not edit this at all, so if there are any cuts in here further on, definitely not me. So just watch the screen. Watch your body position after she says 2 words or whatever.
There are 2 words that I use that keep me connected to my path. The first is question.
Question. Okay, yes, curiosity is a decent attribute to possess, yes.
Early in my journey,
Yes.
I found myself in several online anti-racist spaces.
Oh, well, now there's your first problem right there. Anti-racist spaces, you say. Oh, man. Well, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yep. Nothing says anti-racist like saying that you can be blessed to not be a particular skin color.
I showed up. I did my homework. I participated. And I didn't really see any change in my day-to-day life.
You participated in online anti-racist forums. That wasn't a change in your day-to-day life? What did you expect? Oh, okay. All right. Keep going.
On top of that, no one was really like giving me high fives for being there or telling me I was great. Like, when were the gold stars getting me handed out?
Yeah, it's almost like people in those spaces just see anybody who's not part of the collective as just allies and helpers who should be thankful they're being given any attention at all. Right? Yeah, a thankless job. I'm giving you my time, my energy, etc., and so forth. So what? We deserve it. What a wonderful attitude, huh? Very attractive situation to be in.
The desire to be rewarded for meeting the bare minimum standard of humanity is baked into supremacy culture.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Circling white supremacy because she's effectively done that. Self-vilification or wretchedness. Yep. She's done that too. Oh boy. What else we got here? She hasn't said privilege yet, but I'm waiting for it. Let's see. Plays victim. Has she played the victim yet? I mean, it's like I say, self-vilification is one thing. Playing the victim is another. Excuse me. I'll have to wait on that one. Let's wait on that one a little bit. Childhood or family anecdote. Yeah, she talked about her being pregnant and then having her son. Circle in that one. Let's see. Mind reading assumes motives. Well, I don't know if foreseeing a future where her son would do a thing is necessarily mind reading or assuming motives. But she has assumed the motives of white women in general outside of herself. So yeah, circle in. Boy, oh boy. I tell you what, guys. Let's see. Weightless example sales. I don't want to linger too long on the card. So, all right. So far, what I have circled, aside from the two WTFs, anecdote that probably never happened, self-vilification or wretchedness, systemic, institutional, leaves out vital context, collectivizes own demographic, white supremacy, a list, free space, mind reading assumes motives, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and finally, childhood or family anecdote. That's what I've circled so far. This is bingo card B for those of you coming in late. Here we go.
But nobody wants to say that part out loud.
Sorry, I need to refresh myself. What's the part we're not supposed to say out loud?
For meeting the bare minimum standard of humanity is baked into supremacy culture. But nobody wants to say that part out loud.
Oh, I don't know. You'd be surprised if you watch a few TEDx's and other panel discussions that I've looked at over the years. You'd be surprised how many people love to say things like that out loud.
In order to truly change, I had to be honest with myself.
Oh, okay.
I had to answer the questions with honesty.
Oh, all right. Like?
And then I could start learning and unlearning new ways of being.
Oh, yes. Unlearning. Classic method. Okay. Well, give me an example. Give me an example of a behavior or a habit or a viewpoint or whatever that you possessed before your grand revelation, and tell me how you behave now, just so I can, sort of see the difference and see the progress you've made on your path.
The questions don't stop there, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it.
Well, would you like to give us some of those questions that you've answered? I mean, anything? I'd love some specifics. I'd love to know how you've evolved.
Every strongly held belief, every certainty, every understanding of the norms in society and how society works, all of it has to be questioned.
Well, I mean, such as, what are you talking about?
Because it's based on generations of oppressive programming that are inside of ourselves.
Yes. Racism is the universal constant. It is in all things and all people at all times. You cannot be not racist. You can only be anti-racist. And anti-racism is confession of being racist. That's all it is. That's how anti-racism theology works.
The second word is engage.
All right, question and engage. All right, so you're not going to tell us what questions you asked or what answers you came up with, but now we're going to talk about being engaged. All right, will you tell us what activities or evolutions in behavior you engaged in?
And engagement comes in two ways. The first is personal. We all have to start at the beginning.
Yes.
Sometimes that's the hardest part.
Actually, I was always told it's the waiting that's the hardest part.
To know how to get there. It mostly begins with questioning. That's where the learning and the unlearning happens.
Wait. I thought, well, this is getting complicated. So the first word is questioning. Second word is engage, but engage involves questioning in two different parts. Do you have like a flow chart for this or something?
But an important part of our personal engagement is personal responsibility for our own transformation.
Yeah.
We have to take control of our own process on this journey. What does that look like? It looks like seeking out new ways of thinking.
Okay. Give me an example of a new way of thinking.
On purpose.
You mean intentional?
It looks like turning to Google to get your questions answered.
Okay. I cut her off. Please continue.
It looks like turning to Google to get your questions answered instead of that one person of color you know.
Oh my gosh. That one. Are you kidding me right now? No, you're not kidding me right now. Okay, you said it. That's you.
It looks like learning from teachers of color and paying them market rate plus.
Obviously, I'm going to give you a little extra because your skin color tells me so. You're worth it because, hey, lady, I don't know if you've heard of the phrase racial supremacist. I'd like you to think about that phrase for a second. Do a little, breakdown in your mind of each individual word and what that means, and then what they mean together, and relate that back to what you just said. Relate that back to what you just said. Why are you giving them extra money? What is the only attribute involved in treating them financially better than other people? Let's think on that for a second, shall we? And then here's the thing. Here's the thing about racism that people sometimes don't really remember. Racism can be either the elevation or denigration of someone on the basis of their race. All right. If you elevate somebody simply on the basis of their race, you're no less racist than somebody who denigrates someone on the basis of their race. You're valuing a person on the basis of skin color. Think about that for a moment, won't you? Oh, anti-racist newbie.
It looks like being committed to a lifetime of questioning and engagement.
Sounds more like a lifetime of self-pitying and racism is what you're describing so far. That's what you're describing. Walking on eggshells around everything, feeling guilty over what you look like, and treating other people as inherent victims that you need to help because of their skin color. Thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for the Bravo Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowie, wow.
That was the sultry tones of P Dog Night. Be sure to look up P Dog Night. He's coming up on his 1,000th morning night live show in, I believe, February. So go look up P Dog Night, DAWG, Night with a K, and check out his morning shows. And say hi if you can. Thank you, Mr. Tickletron.
The second part of engagement is community. Look around in your communities and find the leaders that are doing this life-changing work.
What would be, I wonder, I have to guess, what would be the first clue to my wandering eye as to who I should ask to be or ask about being leaders? Is there anything that's going to tell me first and foremost who I should ignore as leaders in this work? The work.
They're definitely there.
Are they?
Be willing to put yourself out there and ask how you can engage. When I find myself in these places,
yes,
I first make sure that my presence is supportive and welcome.
Because obviously there's much to be suspicious about when you walk in a room based on your skin color and your gender, right? Right? Those two things are red flags to anybody else. Let's see. I did do mind reading assumes motives. My bad. Thank you, Chicago Mike. Do we need to ask questions 67 and 68? I'll be amazed if you get this reference. I feel bad that I'm not going to be able to amaze you. I start thinking about questions and numbers and things. I start thinking about The Prisoner or something. Number 6. And all that, but I'm assuming that's not The Prisoner reference. There's something else. So I fail the test. I apologize, Chicago Mike. So I apologize. Unless that's the question song. Is that it? Wait, what was that? No, I don't know. What was it? Advocate is Chicago Mike, Chicago songs. Okay. I'm glad you guys got it. I don't know. But then Chicago Mike is a Chicago expert, so he should be. Thank you, Chicago Mike.
I remind myself that I don't need to be the leader in every single one of these spaces.
You really have to fight that instinct, don't you?
I ask what is needed instead of assuming. And then I do what I can within my capacity to meet those needs.
Wow. Gosh, you're a real helper. You're a real ally. And so what have you done? Where did you go? What change have you affected? What questions did you ask? How has your normal routine altered on the basis of these grand epiphanies? You still haven't told us a single thing.
When we are engaged, relationships build, new understandings emerge, and pathways forward become clear. In the book Sister Outsider, truth teller Audre Lorde summarizes the chapter on transforming silence into action by saying, "For it is not difference that immobilizes us, but silence. And there are so many silences to be broken."
It's not difference that immobilizes us? What was your assessment of different people and the value of their actions in the world again?
When I prepared to stand before you today, I sat with the weight of all the familiar fears that would convince me not to stand here and stay safely silent.
About what? You have said to this point, and you've only got a couple of minutes left, to this point you've said nothing substantive, Irate Bear, on the subject. You're using yourself as an example, kind of, but you're not telling us how you've evolved, how you've changed. You used to behave in this way, and now you behave in this way. You used to think this, now you think that. I mean, aside from giving us a bizarro world interpretation of what happened with Michael Brown, and then seemingly cheering on destruction and violence and arson as a result of that misunderstanding that was perpetuated by people that didn't care about the truth, aside from that, you've told us nothing about how you are now a different person than when you began. At all. Except for, sort of projecting out and vilifying your son when he's a month old.
And in the stillness of those moments, my spirit reminded me that all of my fears live in Jen, the individual. What if I'm misunderstood? What if I say the wrong thing? What if I cause harm?
If you walk around your entire life on eggshells, second guessing yourself on every single thing, it's not a very fun way to live. I've been there. In the throes of my worst anxiety in the past, I lived that kind of life. It had nothing to do with, racial dynamics, just with me moving through the world and not being sure that I wasn't going to cause myself either an anxiety attack or get somebody angry at me or do something wrong. Yeah, it's not fun. Right? So, but you need to separate yourself from the individual Jen, right? You're not just Jen, you are Legion.
In each of those fears, I'm rooted firmly in the belief that I have to have all the answers.
Whose fault is that?
White supremacy uses this idea to lure me into inaction.
like white supremacy is this being, like this entity. This big, completely ivory horned demon that has its fingers into her brain. Mwah, come to me, little white woman, do as I say. Mwah, Are you kidding me?
And to cause me to stay silent so that it can maintain its power.
Okay, you separating yourself from your own personal responsibility in things is stupid. All right, white supremacy doesn't lead you to one thing or another. All right, you are doing it. If you have an action or a thought or an instinct or whatever else, you are doing it. Not white supremacy, not some external force. Okay, you're trying to separate yourself from your own responsibility. That's it. That's all you're doing. Right? Oh, white supremacy. The devil made me do it. I swear, I would never have done such a thing in my right mind. The devil, he came to me and made me do that. Come on, lady. You're not fooling anybody except for maybe the audience of sycophants.
But when I hold myself as a member of the collective, the weight of those fears can lift, even if just a little.
Yeah.
Because in the collective, there's space for understanding.
Oh my God, this sounds so much like somebody pitching the Borg as a solution to everybody's problems, doesn't it?
In the collective, we hold space for learning and unlearning.
Yes. Your unique culture and consciousness will become part of us.
So it's not that I will always say the right thing or always be understood or never act in a way that causes harm.
No. I can understand you clearly, and everything that you're pitching here effectively causes harm. It effectively increases, not decreases, racial separation, segregation, and racism itself. Everything you're doing here is causing harm on a sort of ethereal, philosophical level. I understand what you're doing, and I kind of understand why you're doing it. So yeah, no, you're coming in loud and clear.
The idea is that if we're in relationship, then we know each other. We learn together. And so when I'm called in to make repair, I trust you.
What?
I listen. Then we can know better and do better.
Make repair. What are you talking about? I mean, this isn't a WTF so much as just stop referring to things in such high-minded stuff. Why don't you give us some examples? If you're using yourself as the primary role model for your audience, why can't you give us some compare and contrast? I used to be like this, now I'm like this. I know we're not going to get it. There's only like a minute left in this thing. But this says nothing, does nothing except showcase how twisted and broken your worldview is now versus what you say was the bad way you saw the world before.
As I close today, I'd like to invite you to meet me at the place.
Well, I know a place, or the name of the place. I like it like that. That kind of thing.
Where we decide not to argue in the comment section.
Arguing in the comments section is probably some of the most productive stuff you can have. Agreeing on everything is kind of boring, right? The occasional difference of opinion is fine. What do you want? You just want to have everybody be agreeable? Or are you scared of confrontation? Are you scared of criticism? And so you want everybody to like you? But you're not here to win white woman points, right?
But instead, meet for coffee.
I can't have a disagreement with somebody over coffee?
You can tell me about your family and that random thing that brought you joy last week.
Oh, man. TED Excellence. Let me tell you about this TED Excellence I watched last week with this lady that, hi, you like some coffee?
And I can share with you the thing that's been keeping me up at night.
Something tells me you wouldn't want to hear what's keeping me up at night. Loneliness and desire.
And you can remind me that it's okay to be vulnerable.
What?
And rather than me looking at you and deciding that I know how you show up in the world,
what?
Let's have lunch.
What?
And let's find the place that marks our beginning of being not silent and choosing to work together in service of the liberation of this beautiful collective that every single one of us belongs to.
What?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Okay. Word salad. Circling that one. That closing was just absolute balderdash. Whatever. Thank you, Chicago Mike. I agree, Scribe. I think she wants to join the board. The collective, the collective, the collective. Join the collective. Do away with individuality. There is no individuality. There is no Jen. There is Legion. Wah. Yeah. One of us. One of us. Okay, well, that went quicker than I imagined because I just let her keep digging a hole, I guess. Shovel tongue that she was. Didn't really do her any favors. Let's go on to the bingo card. All right, so there's that. And I have it updated, don't I? I do. And I do. All right, that's where we're at right now. I'm going to go over it one more time myself. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, hold on to them for a minute, and we'll get into it. Weightless example. I don't often like to double dip or triple dip in this case, but she kept coming back to it over and over again. And the Michael Brown shooting, as in reality, as pertains to her talk, did not apply. Did not apply. And so consequently, if I can find a button, there's a button.
Bingo.
What? Of course!
Our first bingo. And we're going to get another one here in a second, because I don't think anybody would argue with me that even if it wasn't said directly, there was more than enough in aggregate implied regarding privilege. And so as a result of that, I'm going to circle that. And as a result of that, I'm going to do this.
Oh, won't somebody please?
Bingo. B-I-N-G-O.
Okay!
Right?
2 bingos. Let's keep going. Sales pitch for product or service. No, she never brought up a product or a service. And just saying anti-racist forums. No, she didn't even mention a particular book authored by any of the people that she quoted. So can't really do that one. Plays victim. Yes. The trauma she experienced watching the news about Michael Brown and so on and so forth. I mean, you can empathize with the tragedy, certainly, but to carry it forward as though somehow you are now connected or a part of that because of the collective. No. Attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. She never said something like something I like to call or brought up anything that I hadn't heard before. So yeah, I don't think that one applies. Wage gap. She never brought up economics of any particular stripe. So no. Patriarchy or feminism. Surprisingly enough, she never made it about gender. Okay, I take it back. Not making it about gender. She talked about white women, but she never brought up specifically anything, particularly gender centric. If you get what I'm saying, or anything particularly feminist. So maybe somebody out there has an argument otherwise, but I don't think those apply. Even though she talked about women a lot, she was never talking about like empowering women over this, that, or the other. Unless I missed something. I'm open to arguments, but hold on. Marginalization. Certainly implied, if not actually said, in talking about racial dynamics and so on. So circling that one. Argumentative non sequitur. Something she brought up that never came back, or I'm going to leave that one. I bet somebody out there has a good one. Contradicts own point or argument. What was her argument? Actually, you know what? Contradicts own point or argument. She's trying to rail against the racist forces in the world and systemic racism and so on, while she's actively supporting it and actively encouraging that kind of thinking. I think that's pretty clear. I don't think there's a whole lot of controversy if I said that. And so, consequently,
Bingo.
What? Of course!
Our third bingo. Let's keep going. Benevolent condescension. Are you kidding me? Of course. Oh, white women have no humanity or whatever the hell else. Okay, circling that one. And lastly, microaggressions or unconscious bias. I mean, it was definitely implied about unconscious bias and her walking around wondering if she's going to do harm, etc. Microaggressions. Yeah, I'll circle it. I don't think that's too controversial either. And down the diagonal, as a consequence of that,
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
all right. So there we go, guys. That is the card as I have it. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, please put them in the chat now. If you tag me in your comment, I'll hopefully see it more clearly. And I'll scroll up a bit in case I missed anything. Advocatus Diaboli, Scribelite, she contradicted herself, spoke about how she was part of a collective and not an individual, went on to admit she thinks of herself as the individual Jen. Yes, well, among several other things, that is certainly a contradiction. Did anybody catch my whole I am not Jen, I am Lee Jen? Did anyone get okay, anyway. Janetti Hellis, random thought, the kid grows up and comes home with a black girlfriend only to be yelled at by her saying, you're supposed to be an ally, not lay in bed with her. You can't do that. Your toxic masculinity will dominate her. You're an oppressor. Oh, Lord. That whole thing about her 1-month-old son. I don't know that was as bad as the lady who was vilifying her, like, what was it, like 8-month-old or 5-year-old daughter for having blonde hair. Oh, yeah. For those of you that are relatively new to the series, ages ago in the TED Excellence history, there was some mom. I think I have a playlist that includes it somewhere. Anyway, there was some mom, I think it was, questionable parenting. I think I have a playlist called Questionable Parenting on my channel. Anyway, included in there is a lady who was vilifying her own daughter for the color of her hair. Actively, like with the girl in the room, etc. So it might be better or worse. I don't know. Some ammunition sales pitch for the collect. Oh, I mean, it's not exactly a product or expand on that. I might go for the sales pitch part rather than getting the specifics of product or service, but just for the sake of completion, expand on that a little bit. Elementity, Scribelite, non sequitur. The bit about making repair was not given any pretext and wasn't explained later. That's true. That's true. How could I make repair? Now, is that an argumentative non sequitur, or is that just another example of leaves out vital context? Like she didn't give us what that meant. I'm being a little picky here because it is a bingo square. Okay, so if you want to expand on that, give me some more. Let's see. Advocates Daily. Her reference to paying POC more than market rate could have been seen as an implication of a wage. Oh, you're right. You're right. I forgot about that. How could I forget about that? It was so memorable until just now, or whatever. Oh, very good, Advocatus. Very good. And as a consequence of that.
Give me a bingo, Vasily. One bingo only, please.
Right?
Yeah!
Okay, there we go. Another bingo. I forgot about that. Good one. Good one. All right. Let's keep it going, guys. We got a few left. I don't know. Give me some more. Give me some more. Let's see. Yvonne Solomon, Scribelite. I know wage gap normally applies to gender, but when she said pay teachers, yes, exactly. There you go. You and Advocatus, right on the money. Ha, you got that? You like that? Right on the money? Elementity, dang, you're right. I think just leaves out vital context right about that square. Yeah, it's got to be something where whatever she brings up in her argument is just out of left field and or completely out of place, and she never comes back to it as a point, as some kind of backup, as some kind of example, something. And just saying, like, I'm here to repair the harm and do this, like, I don't know what you mean by repair harm. And that doesn't quite fall into argumentative non sequitur so much. So I'm being picky because it is a bingo square, and we are ridiculously close to a blackout. I mean, I don't know that we'll get there because there's some that I don't think apply at all. Like I don't think there's any argument for patriarchy. She never brought up like the male dominated this, that, or the other. So, but we're going to have a pretty filled out card either way. Patriarchy for the infant son being a future abuser. I'd love to say yes, but she was relating her son to the police officer in the Michael Brown case specifically. It wasn't about him being male. It was about him resembling the officer in the Michael Brown shooting. She was, I mean, implicitly very, very specific about that. So close, but I can't say that there's a cigar. can't say there's a cigar. Keeverdam, I couldn't pay much attention tonight. Super busy. Sorry. Keeverdam, you have nothing to apologize for. I won't single you out like I have in the past. You do more than enough for the show. Speaking of which, speaking of Keeverdam and the effort she puts forward for the show, up at the top of the chat box, there are some fundraisers there for our friends Moonshock and Angry Illinoisian. Moonshock just survived his second round with cancer, but there's still a lot of medical concerns and things to deal with. So if you have a couple extra bucks, please consider donating there. And Angry Illinoisian is also experiencing some medical issues because of an injury. So please take a look at those fundraisers pinned to the top of the chat box. Let's see. Shadow Claw, Scribelight, how do we get from racism to tolerance and back to racism? That is the philosophy of anti-racism and the adherence thereto. They start off with the premise that they're doing something good, but the only way to do something good is to perpetuate something bad. Like the Spanish Inquisition, which nobody expects. Let's see, Advocatus. I am honestly not seeing any more. She did have one thing that could have been a buzz phrase, but she only used it once, and I honestly forgot what it even was. Yeah, she like white women worldview. I mean, that maybe I don't know that I've heard that particular phrase used all the time, but she did, like I say, she only used it once, and it wasn't like she was using it as the title of her book or something. So, anything else, guys? I mean, we got a pretty full dance card here. Even if we don't have anything else, it was pretty full. Tyrannus Alexandrius Tremirlitz, patriarchy for implying that her son and the police are connected because they're both male. Again, I think it was just on the basis, without any more information, it was just on the basis that the officer involved was a white male and her son was a white male. I don't think it had anything specifically to do with patriarchy as a concept. I think she was just relating the incident that she was highlighting to her son in a very weird and twisted way. So I think that might be it. Anything else, guys? Scrolling up a bit. Chicago Mike, sales pitch for us to visit coffee houses everywhere. Let's have lunch. Let's do coffee. No, not specific enough, especially at this point where we're so close to a blackout. I got to be very picky. Got to be picky. Let's see. And then, come on, chat. Update. I can see it on the one chat. There we go. Redneck Ram, thank you so much for the good job, Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox. I have two Dogcat Foxes from Tailed Feature, and I almost never click that one for some reason. Oh, man. I got to get people to do more of these. I got to get some from some other people. I need some more options. I have more friends now, right? Jesus. Oh, Tail, thank you for that one. Thank you so much. Any other suggestions or arguments, guys? Oh, here we go. Yvonne Solomon. She mentioned a book by author and name, but she didn't bring it up, so I don't know if that counts. Did she actually mention the name of the book? I'm willing to take that. She did she? Okay. You know what, Yvonne? I trust you. I trust you for your attentive skills. So I will circle that one. I might be a little bit more lenient since it isn't a bingo square, but yes. She was recommending this book. I'll give it. Advocast Diablo says The Quiet Place was the name of the book. Okay. All right. I'll accept that. I accept that. Any others, guys? Like I say, I don't think patriarchy. I don't think feminism specifically. Obviously, she talked about women in general, but she wasn't talking about women's issues or women empowerment specifically. In fact, she was being kind of like anti-woman in some ways. Like that's obviously a mark against you if your skin color is the wrong type. Argumentative non sequitur. Buzzfree. I think we might be at the end. And of course, I think we might be at the end because Derek LaRue thinks it was a good show and thanks for the content. Well, thank you, Derek LaRue. And with that, I think I will also, before I do that though, I have Mike R. Thank you so much for another Dogcat Fox with a bye-bye Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox?
Wow. Wow.
Speaking of which, go check out Sinatra Says on the Twitters. Specifically, he started up a new channel. Go take a look at that. Look up Sinatra's Speakeasy if you want to get some interesting and entertaining bits about mixing up various spirits. But with that, everybody, I'm going to call it there. That was a pretty full dance card for a single 11-minute TEDx. Got close, didn't quite reach the bar on a blackout, obviously, but now that's pretty good. And some very, very good arguments and observations from you guys to fill out some squares. Thank you so much. So, reminder, next month and the month thereafter, I'll be doing themes for the TED Excellences I'll be doing. February's theme will be superpowers. March's theme will be justice. And we'll see how that goes. If theme months end up being popular or bring out some, sidewise benefits to the whole thing, maybe I'll do them more in the future. We'll see. But join me for that when the time comes. But of course, always join me here Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for another TED Excellence, where I'll look at another off-brand TED Talk for enlightenment and guilt. I call it engiltenment. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very, very little to do. Everybody who donated either to myself or to the fundraisers at the top of the chat box, thank you guys so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. Please do remember that if there is a content creator out there you like, whether it's me or someone else or anybody, and you like their content, let people know that you like it, either by sharing their stuff out on social media or on Facebook or on the radio or Morse code or semaphore, whatever works. Let people know, because you guys are our best algorithm as compared to YouTube. As well, if you appreciated the show on your way out, please think about hitting the like button. And if you didn't appreciate the show, by all means, hit the down vote. Fine by me. It's engagement, and I appreciate it either way. And if you have anything else to say about the show, please leave them in the comments. I'm trying to cook up some kind of formal ending for these things now that gives out all the information that all the professional YouTubers do. I'll probably forget it by next week. Anyway, everybody, I hope you have a good rest of your Thursday. I hope you have a good rest of your week, a good weekend ahead of you, especially if you have Monday off next week for the federal holiday. Kudos on that. And please be safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.